Lesson 3. Getting to know your guidance counselor. In this lesson, you'll learn why the guidance counselor, sometimes called a college counselor or school counselor, is one of your most valuable resources in the college admissions process. The counselor's job is to support you. He or she should also have experience working with a wide variety of high school students. The counselor is an expert on course selection, surviving high school, avoiding pitfalls, and college. And your counselor is probably overworked. EqualApp's lessons can help supplement information you receive from your busy counselor. The student-counselor ratio. Funny math. Do you know what the student-to-counselor ratio is in your high school? It's not hard to find out. Just look at your class size, and then look at the college counseling office. Is it 50 students per counselor? Or more like 750 students per counselor? Hopefully it's closer to 50, but that's not the reality, especially if you attend public high school. The U.S. national average is close to 500 students per counselor, and in some states, like California, it can be double that. How can you get to know your guidance counselor when there are so many other students? How can he or she know who you are? Make yourself visible, introduce yourself, have your parents set up a meeting, ask questions, and let him or her know your college goals. Why do you need a guidance counselor? Guidance counselors provide guidance. Guidance counselors can be your best resource for choosing classes. Lesson 4 provides an overview of course selection, but only your guidance counselor knows the specifics of your high school. Who is admitted to which colleges, and which courses did they take? Counselors may also give advice and ideas on volunteer and community service opportunities, or local college classes to take, as well as colleges that might be the best fit for you, given your grades, curriculum, and standardized test scores. Many counselors also assist with financial aid and scholarships. In addition to visiting the counselor, visit the college counseling office. In most typical counseling offices, you'll find lots of free resources available to all students. Some counselors stock their shelves with college guidebooks, computer software, and lists of available scholarships. Make use of the office, even when the counselor is not able to meet with you personally. It's not a bad idea for your counselor to see you often in the office. He or she will know that you are taking a proactive approach to college and will likely be more interested in finding out about you. And don't assume, especially in large high schools, that the guidance counselor doesn't have time to help you or won't know the answer to your questions. Just ask. And if one counselor can't help, ask another. Guidance counselor letter of recommendation, an important part of the application. Your school counselor isn't just someone who can advise you on courses, applications, and colleges to investigate. He or she is also going to write one of your letters of recommendation. Most college applications require 1 or 2 recommendation letters from teachers in addition to your counselor's letter. If you get to know your counselor early, and not because you got yourself in trouble, it will be an easy letter to write, and it will speak to your best qualities and characteristics. If you've overcome difficult circumstances, that will be mentioned. If you've excelled relative to your peers, the counselor will write about that. A personal and positive letter can be very important in the application process and make the difference between an acceptance and a rejection. In general, most students receive a positive letter, but most of these letters are written in vague terms. Not because the guidance counselor doesn't support the student, but because the student hasn't taken the time to get to know the counselor. In addition to the letter of recommendation, your counselor will also provide additional insight about you and your high school so that admissions officers can put your application into context. In particular, counselors will indicate your exact or estimated class rank, describe their opinion of you in a few words, rate your academic achievement, extracurricular involvement, and personal qualities and character compared to other college-bound members of your senior class. If you're a freshman or sophomore, stop by the counselor's office and mention that you're thinking about college. If you're a junior or a rising senior, it's imperative to have more substantial conversations about colleges and applications. Be organized and prepared. Talk seriously about colleges and where you stand with respect to the college admissions process. Have you written essays? Downloaded colleges' applications? Thought about essay topics? Visited and toured colleges? Pored over college websites? Your school counselor is not a mind reader. Come prepared with this information and plan on working together throughout the college admissions process. Some high school students will come to their counselor with examples and suggestions to add to the letter of recommendation. For example, you tried to take AP Physics, but it conflicted with AP Calculus. Or you founded a club at your school. Approaching your counselor with these sort of anecdotes can be helpful in 2 ways. 1. You're making the guidance counselor's life easier when it comes time to writing your letter of recommendation. And 2, it guarantees that the things you want colleges to know about you are actually included in the counselor letter. Other letters of recommendation. Why they can make or break an application. Who should write your other letters of recommendation? Does it matter? For most selective colleges, you need 2 or 3 letters of recommendation. For some colleges, though, you might not need any. When letters are required, who else should you get to write one? If 2 total letters are required, you should have a teacher write the second one. If you're considering a major in a subject like math, science, or engineering, then it would be best if a math or science teacher from junior or senior year courses wrote your letter. Be sure that the teacher knows you well and that you received a good or even great grade in the class. It's even better if the teacher knows you in another capacity outside of class. Perhaps he or she happens to be your athletic coach or club advisor. Similarly, if you're thinking about another type of major, perhaps English, comparative literature, or philosophy, or anthropology, sociology, or psychology, then a teacher from English or social studies or history should write your letter. It doesn't necessarily matter if the letter writer comes from a related subject area as your possible college major, but it could be helpful for the college admissions committee. Also, there is no set rule that the letter writer has taught one of your junior or senior year classes, but it is preferred. If asked to submit 3 letters, then 1 will be from your counselor, 1 from a teacher, and a third can be from another teacher or perhaps a club advisor, a scout leader, a clergy person, a job supervisor, or a coach. The letters can be very insightful, since these people can see you in a setting where you can show off your leadership or time management skills, or demonstrate your level of maturity and responsibility. You should try to line up letter writers at the end of your junior year or over the summer before your senior year. Otherwise, ask at the very beginning of your senior year, preferably before all the other college applicants do. Like your guidance counselor, teachers are busy. If you're going to ask a teacher for a recommendation letter, be kind and allow enough time for him or her to write an excellent one. You might want to produce an informal resume about yourself, including your ideas for college majors, and your extracurricular work and experience so that your teacher knows more about you. Some letter writers might even ask you to write a statement or answer questions about yourself so that they can write a better letter about you. This is your time to brag, so toot your own horn. Let your recommenders know all the great things about you so that they can put that information into their letters and convey to colleges why you should be admitted. A final word on letters of recommendation. If a college asks for a certain number of letters, you should submit that number of letters. At the most, you should send 1 additional letter beyond the recommended number. So, if a college requires 3 letters and you send 3 or 4, great. But if you send 8 letters, that's terrible. Admissions officers don't have time to read more than 3 or 4 letters, not to mention, if they can't learn about you in those first few letters, then something is probably wrong with the letters submitted. In fact, admissions officers might think that you're trying to compensate for a weakness if you have to send so many letters. So, follow instructions. Lesson 3 Summary. Get to know your guidance counselor. The student-to-counselor ratio in many high schools is quite high, making it all the more important for you to introduce yourself and your parents to the counselor and to make your ambitions for college known. Use the available counseling resources. Your counselor can help you with course and college selection. In addition, the counseling office may be stocked with free resources to help guide your college search process. Counselor letters of recommendation tell more about you. Let your counselor know what he or she should emphasize in your letter of recommendation. The better your counselor knows you, the stronger the letter is likely to be. Work with your counselor in determining who else should write your recommendation letters. Typically, a teacher from your junior or senior year, preferably in a subject related to your possible major, should write a letter. If an additional letter is required, consider asking someone other than a teacher who knows your work outside of the classroom. EqualApp. Apply smarter.